Hello and welcome. I see Mumsy is in the house. Great to have you here. We are ready for True Crime in Cambodia, where we talk about all the crazy crimes and things going on in the Kingdom of Wonder. So let's get started. First up, we have Cambodian students are stranded at the border despite so-called humanitarian exceptions to the border closure. So last week, I was talking about how a lot of borders were closed. They were still letting tourists through. They made a special exception for the students to go through. And as of yesterday, the Thai government, or at least the army, closed all the borders with Thailand. So they're not letting anybody through. So it doesn't matter if Cambodia is willing to let people through, and that's another story coming up. But as a follow-up to last week, when they were letting the students through, I'm surprised they don't have pictures of like the kids in their uniforms. These just seem like regular people wanting to get through. Yeah, they're not and now they're not even letting tourists through. They're saying if tourists want to go into Thailand, they have to fly. And it's about a 2-hour drive from the nearest airport to the border. So if you went to the border, then you got to turn around and go another 2 hours back to an airport to get across. And so that's that. Aurora is in the house. Welcome. Great to see you here. So just a couple of stories about the border. About what's happening with Thailand and Cambodia. So if you recall last week, they had Cambodia made a decision based on threats from Thailand. So Thailand was threatening, we're going to cut off your internet and we're going to, cut off this and that. And so Cambodia said, well, it's like, we don't need your stinking internet and we don't need your stinking electricity and we don't need your stinking imports. And so Sunday at midnight, they added a new thing that Cambodia has added a new thing. They are not accepting any fuel or gas imports from Thailand. And there are quite a few gas stations, one in particular, PTT, I believe, that is run by Thai companies, with Thai fuel. There are others that get their fuel from Vietnam. There's French-owned gas stations, Cambodia-owned gas stations. So I think some gas even gets shipped in from Mexico, if I believe correctly. So yeah. So it keeps going up a notch and a notch and a notch and a notch, these tensions. No fighting, though. Hey, Gibbo in the house. By the way, I discovered recently that Gibbo actually has a channel on YouTube. So I have added him into the description. As you see, it's called I'll Be Frank. So in the description, there is his channel. If you're interested in true crime and missing persons and things like that. I know. And Peggy O is in the house. Welcome. Great to see you. Okay, so one more border story, and that is that they have officially shut all land borders with Cambodia. Here's a picture of those students that they had let through before and that they are not letting through now. You guys all remember Claire, who was here living in my home for several months, maybe 5 months. She went back to France a few weeks ago, and all this was like just starting. And I was like, she was 3 days away from leaving. And I said, I would feel bad if I did not tell you stuff is happening with Thailand. And because she had a dog. She found a street dog. Wonderful, wonderful woman. She found a street dog and took it to the vet and everything, and decided to take it home to France and adopt a dog. And that's quite a process to travel internationally with any animal. And you have to get all kinds of veterinary certificates and testing and things like this, and approvals and from both countries, from the airlines. I mean, it's quite a complicated process. And so she had done all this work over 5 months. She was 3 days away from leaving, and her plan was to drive across the Thai border and fly from Bangkok, because she couldn't get a direct flight from Phnom Penh to Switzerland. And but she could get a direct flight from Bangkok, and she didn't want the dog to suffer through getting loaded onto one plane and then transferred onto another plane without her present for that transfer and everything. She was just thinking of the dog. And I said, hey, I got a feeling, the borders could end up being closed. And so I said, it's up to you. Go with your original plan, or you might want to leave early. I can't make that decision for you, but I feel obligated to let you know that things are happening. And they ended up sticking with their plan, going in 3 days. The borders were closed for a lot of things, but tourists were still allowed through, so she got through. And she's in France with the dog. It's amazing, good. But I sent her a message, and I was like, told you I had a feeling. I'm so glad that everything worked out for you. And yeah, so it's escalating as economically and diplomatically. It's not escalating with fighting, with militaries fighting. There is some military buildup on each side of the border, but it hasn't turned into a conflict. Everything's still diplomatic and economic and trade and things like that. That part's escalating. Okay, next up, another follow-up story. If you recall, the Ministry of Environment had been inspecting factories that were discharging polluted water, their wastewater, directly into creeks and, into the environment. Well, they have actually suspended 2 factories now. They've gotten to the point where they've actually taken action. Here's some of the pipes. And one is a biotechnology, and the other is Noble Taste Food, which is, I remember there was a mango factory, some kind of mango processing. So the food one might be the mango processing plant that they were after, or that they, kept checking on, and it wasn't fixed. So the companies are going to need to pay penalties, restore the environmental damage, comply with technical measures before they're allowed to open again. So there's that. Might be bad for the ladyboys. Well, maybe they'll have enough business over there in Thailand. I don't know. I think tourists are like second guessing themselves about whether or not they want to go to Thailand. There's just a 4% drop, but that's a lot of people in Thailand. Thailand has had a 4% drop in their tourism. And there was a new bird flu case last week, I think, and now there is one more, a 41-year-old Cambodian woman she's in critical condition, receiving medical care. Said that when they investigated, they found out that at her home and her neighbor's home, there were a lot of sick and dead chickens. And she had been cooking those sick and dead chickens for 5 days. I don't think she cooked one chicken for 5 days, but I think over the course of 5 days, she kept cooking these dead chickens. And got the bird flu. It did not give any numbers year to date, but the next story does, because one man died of bird flu. And it says here it makes a total of 5 deaths this year. He was 52 years old. There's a total somewhere in the story, because I did look at it. There's a total of 6 people that have caught bird flu, and 5 of them have died. And the one is critical in the hospital. Said that he'd been handling sick and dead poultry for 2 days before his symptoms started. There it is, 6 reported human cases, 5 of them fatal. So hopefully that's not gonna get worse. And Frugal is in house. Welcome. Is that where you got your chicken yesterday, Frank? Gibbo? They don't have chickens in Sweden. They're so poor. Uh-oh. Okay. So next up, this one's sad. I haven't read the story, so we'll find out together. Baby's body was found dumped in a Phnom Penh market. I guess that's the baby there. Newborn child stashed in a refuse sack. The baby was found at 8 a.m. at Tulkork Market in Phnom Penh. I think this is the people that found the baby, wrapped it in towels, and then they've set up this little offering type of thing with bananas, with incense, collecting some money for the cremation, probably. The umbilical cord was not cut. So the garbage collectors saw the black bag and noticed that it contained the baby on top of the garbage pile. And a source from a man who lives nearby says that at 4 a.m. he saw a woman carrying 2 black bags and throwing them near the trash can, but he did not pay attention because he thought they were ordinary trash bags. So interesting. It says the baby's body was taken to Wat Tok Tla for traditional burial, but it's not burial, it's cremation. So sad. And Traveling Fools in the house. We got a full house tonight. Yo, yo, yo. Driving and listening. So I'll make sure that I describe everything clearly. So another medical issue, health authorities clarify misleading media reports after the death of a woman. So we'll see what they clarified. There was a 34-year-old woman who died due to severe bleeding after giving birth at a referral hospital. That means it's one of the government hospitals, a public hospital. It comes in response. So the statement is in response to numerous incorrect media reports. I don't know if they're correct or incorrect, stating that it's another case of a woman giving birth after a doctor mistakenly performed a hysterectomy, causing her to bleed to death. I don't know. It sounds like that could be a botched abortion. Then how would you, that doesn't even make sense. If you're pregnant, if you're giving birth, if you're pregnant enough to give birth, why would any doctor try to give you a hysterectomy? Right? I don't think they would schedule a hysterectomy. Maybe trying to do a cesarean, a cesarean section. Would that be mistaken as a hysterectomy? I don't know. But the health department is saying that she did give birth naturally at 11:50 a.m. And okay, at 1 a.m. she came to the hospital like in labor, and at 11:50, so 10 and 10 hours and 50 minutes later, so she was in labor for that long. And then it says after the placenta was delivered, the woman had severe bleeding and a weak uterus because it wasn't contracting. They sent her to another public hospital for further treatment. The obstetrician team found that she had lost a lot of blood and the weak uterus. They gave her blood transfusions, and then they performed the emergency hysterectomy, to stop the bleeding. But she could not be saved, and she died at 12:20. Wow, that's only 30 minutes after she gave birth. So she gives birth. There's too much bleeding. They transfer her to another hospital. And then they perform a hysterectomy. And then she dies. And that happened in 30 minutes. Something's off with the time for me. Oh, yeah, I did see that Bobby Sherman was a contestant on Celebrity Bucket Kickers. Zach in the house. Yeah, it's odd. Yeah, mistakenly. Exactly. Exactly, Aurora. Okay, next up. So you never know what kind of news stories you're going to find in Cambodia. A husband says his wife was swept away in floodwaters. So here it looks like a road got washed out. In Sihanoukville, well, the province, Praia Sihanouk. So on the morning of June 23rd, the police claimed that a woman had indeed disappeared after her husband came to claim that he found the victim's motorbike. And they said that the flood had destroyed the road to a waterfall resort. Oh, is that the motorbike there? Oh. Yeah, that's not, if that's the motorbike, that motorbike had been in the water. Yeah, there you go. There's a close-up of it. Yeah, that doesn't look good. But they haven't found her yet. They're continuing to search. Said she was probably returning home from work and when she hit the broken road. But he didn't notice right away because he thought that his wife was staying at a friend's house and her phone was not working because the battery was dead. But the collapse of the road happened at 4 a.m. on the 22nd. So, yeah, that's sad. And where's the road? That's the road. So if you were driving and didn't pay attention and just went right off into the water, oh my goodness. Bad parking job for a motorbike, even by Cambodian standards. Exactly. And Gibbo, thanks for reminding everyone to hit the like button. Okay, next up, Culture Minister slams Thailand over Angkor Wat replica. I did not look deep into the story, but I remember a couple of years ago, there was all this talk about, everybody in Cambodia was all upset that Thailand was making an Angkor Wat replica. And it was actually like a spa resort. So they weren't like making a temple. They were making a spa resort. So I'm curious if this is the same place or a different place. They're saying that it's called the Siha Nakhon Temple in Thailand's Buriram province. And it's at a Wat Phu Man Pha. So the Culture and Fine Arts Minister has slammed Thailand for copying Cambodia's Angkor Wat in the form of this temple, calling it plagiarism and a violation of the identity and soul of Cambodian culture. The Apsara National Authority, that's who operates Angkor Wat and all the temples, posted a statement on its Facebook page following a meeting of the International Coordinating Committee for the Safeguarding and Development of the Historic Site of Angkor and Sambor Praekuk in Siem Reap Province. At the meeting, the minister said that Thailand had infringed upon Cambodia's cultural identity and heritage by replicating the Khmer Angkor Wat temple design in the construction of Siha Nakhon. She said the act is a clear violation of Thailand's obligations as a party to the 1972 World Heritage Convention, and that it undermines the outstanding universal value and originality of the Angkor sites and violates the cultural identity and soul of Cambodia and reflects a serious lack of heritage ethics. So it looks like maybe this one isn't the same one that was going to be like a spa resort. Now, Thailand is saying, the head monk of the Wat, of the pagoda, denies that the temple was a replica of Angkor Wat or any other Cambodian temple. Instead, the temple was said to have been inspired by ancient temples in the region. And an archaeologist of the Royal Academy of Cambodia agreed that Thailand had violated the cultural identity. He said, out of excessive admiration, Thailand has copied the design and style to build on its own territory, violating international law. It reflects poorly on creativity and innovation, that they're not making their own things. They should create something original, something of their own design. And now they're filing a formal complaint with UNESCO. For me, I understand the Cambodian pride. Virgo is saying Thailand is behaving so poorly right now. Yes, we started off the show talking, with 3 stories with the Thailand border issue. Thailand, and then he adds, Thailand is not permitted to make any replicas of Angkor Wat because it is a UNESCO heritage site, and all neighboring countries are banned from making replicas. Exactly. But if you look here at this picture, I'm just wondering, they're not making a replica, and I'm not trying to side with Thailand, okay? But I'm just trying to look at this objectively. This does not look like a replica, an exact copy of Angkor Wat. It looks like they've got elements, right, of the design that you find at Angkor Wat. My sensibility is that the Khmer Empire, when Cambodia didn't exist and it was the Khmer Empire, it went all the way from half of Vietnam to Myanmar, and all of Thailand was part of, and up north into Laos. So the Khmer empire did include Thailand at one point. So it makes sense that some designs would have been, design elements, okay, not an exact replica of Angkor Wat, but some design elements that you would find at Angkor are found in places in Thailand because it was part of the Khmer Empire. And I have a really hard time, backing 100% this idea that Thailand doesn't get to use anything that has to do with Angkor or Khmer when it's their roots too. Angkor Wat itself, Angkor Wat proper, belongs to Cambodia. Preah Vihear belongs to Cambodia. UNESCO has declared that. So that is internationally accepted. But yeah, I can't get behind it 100%. Frugal says it does not look like traditional Thai temples, but resembles the ancient structures more. That makes it similar in appearance. Yeah. Definitely over the centuries, Thailand, which had, so you had Khmer, right? And then you had this, I can't remember the name of them, but they're from China, what's now China, came and intermarried with the Cambodians, right? I mean, they weren't Cambodians, they were Khmer. They intermarried with the Khmer and became Thai. All right. That's where Thailand came from. And that's why it's really interesting. If you listen to the Thai language, people speaking Thai, it's like, I've been around Chinese people, I've been around Cambodian people. But when you are listening to Thai, it's literally like half and half. It's like you hear Chinese, you hear Khmer, but it's all mixed up. It's very interesting, the language, linguistically. All right, next story. 5 minors have been rescued from a Phnom Penh massage parlor, which was actually a brothel. Not that unusual here. I mean, it's not widespread necessarily, but it's not rare either. It's in between common and rare. Okay. Kambol district. Was it? Oh, this said Phnom Penh. Yeah. So here they are in pajama clothes. It's just mostly pictures. So it looks like a massage parlor in front. The female Cambodian national was the owner of the massage parlor, and she was arrested and they rescued. So it's nice that they did not arrest the girls, but they rescued the girls. Well, 4 females and 1 transgender. So the victims. I mean, they're considering them victims instead of workers, and they collected evidence and everything. So good. The victims were sent to the Department of Social Affairs and Rehabilitation to ensure that they receive protection, freedom, and other necessary assistance, such as health services, legal protection, and psychological counseling services. And the suspect will be sent to court. So this is probably the suspect. Goes on everywhere. Yeah, brothel where? Asking for a friend. I know. Chinese. Oh my gosh. That is so funny, Frugal. Okay. Next up. So this was a story a couple of weeks ago. I didn't share it because there wasn't really like any clarity about the story. But now apparently there's an apology happening. So we got more deets. A daughter who alleged that her French father was abducted at the Phnom Penh International Airport apologizes to authorities for emotional language. So even though he has French nationality, looks like he's Chinese. And not just because she looks Chinese, but it has the names here. I, Stephanie Chang, daughter of Mr. Chang Jian, wish to publicly address the recent legal matter involving my father in the Kingdom of Cambodia. This is public, so you can read it. My family and I have come to deeply appreciate the professionalism, fairness, and humanity demonstrated by Cambodia's judicial authorities and governmental institutions. We hold the Cambodian legal system and the rule of law in the highest regard and express our sincere respect and gratitude. I would also like to offer a heartfelt apology for any misunderstandings or emotional language that may have been posted online during a time of great concern and uncertainty. My intentions were never to offend or misrepresent, and I take full responsibility for any statements that may have caused confusion or discomfort. Please accept my deepest and most sincere apologies. We are especially grateful to all the different agencies of Cambodia. So on June 11th, she was alleging that her father had been abducted. Something about, what's this with an arrest warrant? So he wasn't abducted, he was arrested. And so that's why she couldn't find him, is because he was arrested. And he had no way, it's not like America, give me my one phone call, right? That's not a thing in Cambodia. You don't get one phone call. If they let you call somebody, they let you call somebody, but it's not like it's your right to have a phone call. And that there was an arrest warrant. So the government was doing their duty to arrest him. It was not arbitrary. It doesn't say what he was arrested for. Wow. And then I read the letter already. Wow. He was the Yorkshire Ripper. Oh, no. Okay. Next up, Phnom Penh businessman arrested for violence against women. So I just saw the headline. I haven't read the story. We'll do that together. What kind of violence? Repeat offenses, and women plural. So on June 18th, he was arrested, a 42-year-old man. He's a businessman that owns a restaurant, I guess, in Sen Sok district, Phnom Penh, related to two crimes. Case 1, violation of a residence and intentional damage with aggravated circumstances. And so explaining, it was violently breaking the door and kicking of the house, causing 1 to break and 3 to be damaged, committed at a house with no number. Okay, so that's not every house has a house number. Okay. Case 2, intentional violence with aggravated circumstances, hitting the face with his hand, causing a split lower lip, a split lower chin, bruises on the face, and bruises in the eyeball, causing serious injuries. And this was in front of a school. Noordam. Wow. On Noordam Boulevard. That's a big street. That's a boulevard. It says Preah Noordam Street. That's a boulevard. That's a big road. Wow. Good. Good. Gibbo says he was caught because of all the victims had 5-pound notes from his payslip. All righty. Got to have a little bit of comedy sometimes, some levity. All right, next up. Okay, I thought this was pretty interesting. So the government is going to crack down on unhealthy snacks for children. So basically, there is the Council for Agricultural and Rural Development, known as CARD, and in Takao province, they are taking action against the sale of unhealthy snacks outside school grounds in an effort to protect students' health and promote better nutrition. So those snacks that they consider unhealthy are high in sugar, salt, and artificial ingredients. He warned that such food products pose serious health risks to children, including poor nutrition, obesity, and non-communicable diseases. And we observed that school principals can manage the sale of food inside the school grounds. However, they have no authority over what is sold just outside the school. Therefore, we call on the provincial administration to work closely with local authorities to find ways to stop the sale of harmful food products near schools. He noted that one primary school has already implemented a health-conscious food policy selling only traditional Khmer snacks made with quality ingredients. He commended the school as a model for healthy food, for a healthy food environment. So, a UNICEF report in 2023 showed that 80% of calories consumed in Cambodia come from rice and sugar, and an insufficient consumption of nutrient-dense food. So there you go. These are some of the so they've got bananas, they've got little, I don't know what you call it. I know what these are, but I don't know what to call them. Khmer snacks. It's true, Maven. The serial numbers matched his company's banking and then matched them to his payslips. Oh, in another case, I didn't catch like which case you're talking about then. Oh, Peter Sutcliffe. Ah, okay. Peter Sutcliffe. He is always paid. And they caught him by his payslips. Oh my goodness. Okay, next up, well, we got to have a gangster story, right? It wouldn't be a week in Cambodia without a gangster story. Teen gangsters arrested after sword attack leaves a victim seriously injured. And I find these pictures really odd. I mean, it's a color, and then this guy's in black and white. He's all bandaged up and blurred out. A vicious attack left a rival seriously injured. Just after midnight, before the incident, the victim had left a drinking spot at a nightclub. When he arrived on the scene, a motorbike, a group of he left the drinking spot at the nightclub. He got on his motorbike, he rode away. And when he arrived at the place where the attack happened, a group of suspects armed with swords and knives attacked him, causing injuries and damage to the motorbike. And after the incident, the suspects fled north, not south or east or west. They fled north. Important detail. So the police went on patrol and arrested the 5 suspects. Can we say they went on a manhunt? They went on patrol. Okay. 7 victims. I thought there was just the one victim on the motorbike. Okay, there were 7 victims and 1 female. And the victims' injuries doesn't tell us what the injuries were. Oh, okay, I see. So there was a 19-year-old man who had a left shoulder injury. There was a 22-year-old man who had no injuries, but his motorbike was damaged. There was a 17-year-old woman whose motorcycle was damaged and her neck was injured. There was a 22-year-old man who had his motorcycle damaged but no injuries. 16-year-old man, damaged motorcycle and injured back. 29-year-old man The motorcycle was damaged, but no injuries. And these are over different days. So it looks like there was a spree going on, which wasn't clear earlier in the story. And then a 32-year-old man whose motorcycle was damaged, but no injuries. And the suspects are 20, 17, 20, 18, and 16. And 3 other suspects escaped. And they are moving forward with charges. The third guy looks like he has a toothache. I know, huh? So weird. Like I said, the picture's weird. All right. How about 3 reporters among 4 charged with kidnapping a Chinese tourist? Now, I wanted to bring this out because Cambodia gets a bad rap for not having a free press. All right. And there's statistics that are kept by whatever international organization that does that, like Reporters Without Borders or something like that. And they'll lump things like this. So, oh my gosh, 3 reporters in Cambodia were arrested. But they don't say it was because they were kidnapping somebody. You know, they weren't all that innocent. It had no, it wasn't a violation of their journalistic freedom. So they were seeking ransom, $50,000 ransom. A 33-year-old reporter, a 38-year-old reporter. One's just an online news outlet. One is an online television outlet, and a 46-year-old reporter working at an online newspaper. It gives the names of the papers, and a 4th person that was just unemployed. They face a prison term of at least 4 years each if convicted. Ooh, so they apprehended the Chinese tourist, who was 33, at an expressway exit point around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The Chinese victim had just arrived in Cambodia from China. He was in a taxi car on the expressway going towards from Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville. After they apprehended the victim, they pushed him into their car that had a military plate number and brought him to Phnom Penh to be ransomed. But villagers had seen the man being forced into the car and alerted the authorities. And so the military police, the gendarmerie, when they received the report, began searching for the suspects and the victim, and he was rescued the next day at a rental house. So go figure. Let's see. All right. Wrong way driver arrested. And here's a picture. So all these cars are stopped in traffic going the correct way. And this guy decided, you know what? I'm not waiting. Now, it is quite common. Okay. It's not as common when you've got the cement barriers. All right. But if there's no cement barrier, it's very common to just, if there's nobody coming the other way, basically, if there's space, you fill it. All right. If there's space on the road, you fill it. Yeah. But he drove a truck carrying workers the wrong way. This is the driver. Looks like they did a COVID. I think that would be a COVID test, not a drinking test. I've never, or maybe some kind of drug test. Do you get a drug test that looks like this? Maybe. Yeah, I think there are drug tests that are like that. It was 7 a.m., so he was trying to get the factory workers to the job on time, probably. When it was captured on, this was captured on social media, so they had the license plate, so they went looking for him. They found it parked in an economic zone. That means like a place where factories and stuff get special, factories and warehouses, they get special tax benefits. So it's called an economic zone. In Swai Riang, the police brought both the vehicle and, a traffic specialist force. Okay. So the traffic police in the blue shirts brought the vehicle and the driver to the regular police station. There you go. The driver admitted his mistake, and authorities advised him to stop driving in the opposite direction because it could cause dangers to others. So he was re-educated, which is a very common outcome for minor crimes. They don't need to fill up the prison with minor criminals. Just get restitution, get re-education. I hear the cat's crying, but that's all right. I have the door open tonight. So, and I don't know. I wonder if this is a new hijacking, or if this is like they finally caught the guy that had done a hijacking previously that we covered. So it says a foreign man has been arrested after he hijacked a taxi again while traveling from Prea Sahunuk province to Phnom Penh. It was around noon. He was 48 years old, also from China. So the suspect booked a taxi driver at 11 a.m. Then they're on the expressway. So about an hour into the drive, when they arrived at whatever mile marker it says here, marker 160, the Chinese national took his phone, took the driver's phone from him, and shouted threats and insults. When they reached the checkpoint on the expressway, the suspect ordered the driver to turn west on National Road 4 to find a quiet place. The journey was filled with fear and anxiety. When they reached a particular mile marker, the victim used a trick to stop the car and tell the suspect he wanted to buy water. Seeing a good opportunity, the driver told the shopkeeper and residents living there to intervene. They managed to stop the suspect, a foreigner, and reported him to the police. After receiving the Chinese national, who was the suspect, and reporting it to the Serious Crimes Office in collaboration with another police, district, the suspect was arrested and a small amount of suspected drug powder in a plastic bag was seized. Oh yeah, see, the drug tests are like that. So he's getting further legal action. So see threats from Aurora, criminal and poor. Sweden is so full of crime, they're all poor. Okay, our last story, ending on a positive note. The Ministry of Interior is expanding inmates rehab programs. So here's a bunch of inmates in a prison. They're in the Kampong Tom Provincial Prison. This is what they get to wear when they're in prison. Blue pajamas. So the initiative also includes literacy and foreign language education, religious and artistic activities, and convict redemption programs. So they're calling it a comprehensive rehabilitation initiative for inmates convicted of drug-related offenses. To help them reintegrate into society as new and good citizens upon their release. So the General Department of Prisons has basically been setting up 78 classrooms across the country at the prisons. And so far, 1,524 inmates have benefited, including 257 women. So, of course, in addition to basic education, they're receiving training on drug prevention, social ethics, physical exercise, prison regulations, and they participate in the religious and artistic educations. Yeah, so good. And they're also giving them vocational skills, including tailoring, decoration, cosmetic makeup, construction, computer skills, electronic repair, refrigeration, and machinery maintenance. And of that, 297 inmates were awarded certificates of completion. So, quote, the main goal of these training programs is to equip inmates with life skills so that they can become productive members of society and support themselves and their families after release. We aim to reduce the likelihood of reoffending, or in America, we say recidivism, something like that. It means that you go back again. So there you go. That's it. Turn their lives around. Yeah, it's good. Good program. All right, coming up on 10 o'clock. It's a full show. And before you run away, please let me remind you that love really does transcend time and space. So wherever and whenever you are watching this, I love you. I do. And I really appreciate that you chose to spend some time with me here learning about what's going on in Cambodia. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it gave you a break from whatever else you're doing. And tomorrow we'll have another show, probably some kind of game. I'll try to use the new game program if I get a chance. I'll try to make a show. I might not have time to do that, to make one of my own. So I might just have to use something for this week, for tomorrow. But for next week, I'll spend some time this weekend making a show for my own trivia games, whatever, for next week. Hugs, everyone, from Mumsy. Hearts from Aurora. Thank you so much. So same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. Hope to see you then. Until then, catch you later.